Martha, and I will be your co-celebrant for this morning's service. Our minister, Lori King Nelson, is in the pulpit this morning. If you have been here before, one time or many, you are welcome here. All People's Church is more than a place to gather on Sundays. It is a community, a spiritual home where you may develop and deepen your gifts. We gather to feed our minds and souls that we may each become blessings to our families, to our friends, and to the larger world around us. If you're a visitor today and haven't signed in, please do so. There's a visitor's table by the front door. Signing in will give us the opportunity to acknowledge your visit and place you on our mailing list to receive weekly emails and our monthly newsletter. Before we continue with our service, please note these reminders and announcements. Joe Burnham asked that if you have $1 or $2, please find her, she's usually in the kitchen, and donate to Don't Forget to Feed Me. Keeping families and pets together for the holidays. Don't forget to feed me feeds the pets of homeless people. And it's a organization that Joe is passionate about. So talk to her, she'll tell you. I also got a call from David Bindi this morning, who can't be here, but he said all of the stuff that's in that hallway outside of Jagger's Parlor, they've sorted through it. If there's anything that you would like to take home, you're more than welcome. Anything that's left over will be donated to the Goodwill. And then Colleen Brewer has an announcement.
Good morning. I know there's a lot going on around Christmas time, but just in case anybody hasn't noticed, we are going to have a Christmas Day potluck dinner. Everybody's invited. You do need to sign up. Turkey and turkey gravy and dressing and mashed potatoes will be provided by the hosts. You can sign up to bring whatever you would like to bring other than those. Side dishes or desserts are fine. I've got a sign-up sheet out in the foyer. You don't have to be a member, and you can bring guests. Just write down how many people you want to bring. And the sign-up sheet is kind of not as noticeable as some of the signs that are standing on the same table, but look for this tiny little card that I folded here and sign up there. Thank you very much.
And I'd also like to remind people about Freedom Cafe that is going to be on the, I don't have the flyer, but there are flyers, it's the 28th, that's what I thought. On the 28th, you can get tickets. You can get tickets from me if anybody would like to. And tickets are 20 a piece, 15, there's flyers. It'll be cool. I'm buying my ticket today because I kept forgetting to bring a check. And I never have that much cash. So, okay, I think that's it for announcements. So please settle comfortably for our musical prelude.
That was absolutely lovely, Misha. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Our opening words this morning are from the UUA website, written by Rebecca Savage. We gather together today with sacred intention to declare that justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. Not here, not quite yet. The seeds have been planted time and again, and we remember all those who went before us, who made beloved community a dream that could be realized. Justice is our prayer. May our time of worship service together continue to water the budding trees of our diverse interdependence. May our time of worship give air and nourishment to the parts of our collective spirits that need to grow and thrive, that embrace equity as a known way of being. Justice is our prayer. We affirm in covenant with the beloved community that is possible. May it be so. Let us worship together.
To rise in body or spirit for the chalice lighting, opening hymn, and spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting words are from Elena Westbrook. In a world ravaged by violence, by hatred, by conflicts that seem eternal and insoluble, sometimes the only thing we can do is be still for a moment to remind ourselves what is real. The sun that rose this morning, the dirt under our feet, the air whispering in and out of our lungs, this hour, just to be present in each moment as it unfolds. Your simple attention is what makes these moments holy. Please join us for our opening hymn, number 349, We Gather Together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Y'all may be seated, and the young and young at heart are now invited to come forward for our time for all ages here at the front of the chancel. They're here.
Before we leave, she and I get to choose a Christmas carol to sing. I choose "Oh Come Home, Faithful," and Nina chooses "Old MacDonald Had a Farm." That's not a new Christmas song, silly, I tell her, but Mom says it's fine and it's a very nice song too. We sing fast because there are a lot of verses and it's getting older and older. And at plus, E-I-E-I-O, we gather with things and head out to the truck. I look back once. Our tree has folded itself into the darkness, but I think I can still see it still. Stars fall on its branches and the moon swinging lopsided on the top. Nina gets tired and Dad wraps her in a blanket and I carry her and I hear her. Later in the night, I think about our tree, and sometimes the next day, when the aunts and the uncles and the cousins are at our house and it's noisy and happy, I let my mind go back to roots chorus. Think of the birds having Christmas dinner, and the squirrels, and the opossums, and the raccoons, and the snakes. There might even be a bear. Dad says bears don't really sleep all winter. If one's going to wake up, I better literally just wake up for Christmas. Maybe a fox is coming, stepping high on its thin, sharp paws as they're all together singing their own Christmas songs on this Christmas day around their tree.
Yes.
Now we can sing the children out with "As We Leave This Friendly Place." As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learned, Lord, we return.
I want to thank Rain for her skill at keeping the children all there. They're excited about the holidays, and it's so good to see them excited about being in church. Our reading this morning comes from Katharina von Kuhn, doctoral student in theology and Christian ethics at Princeton Theological Seminary. On December 4th, a masked shooter killed Brian Thompson, chief executive of United Healthcare, in Midtown Manhattan. The shooting, coupled with the discovery of bullet casings at the scene with the words "delay, deny, and depose" on them, prompted an online frenzy. New York Times columnist Zeynep Tufekci details the celebratory public response in the days after the shooting, from viral posts delighting in the killing to rage-filled posts describing the agony caused by health insurance companies. Observing that never before has social media so openly celebrated a murder in the United States, Tufekci suggests parallels to the public discontent and political violence characteristic of the Gilded Age in the late 19th century. Following the discovery that the alleged killer was carrying a document protesting the healthcare industry, the conversation is far from over. The document includes the words, "These parasites had it coming." It's difficult to know how to preach after an event like this, a horrific killing that reveals and lacerates an already deep seeping wound. But this is not the first time preachers have been challenged to offer a word in the aftermath of a public killing imbued with the symbolic weight of public outrage at an unjust system. On September 15, 1901, Methodist minister and labor activist Harry F. Ward took to the pulpit of 47th Street Methodist Episcopal Church in Chicago. Excuse me. The day before, President William McKinley had died as a result of a shooting by anarchist and laborer Leon Czolgosz. Ward, who would later become the first national chairman of the American Civil Liberties Union, devoted his entire life's work to economic justice, fair working conditions, and the advancement of the social gospel. The sermon he preached the day after McKinley's death, a transcript which is held in the Burke Library archives at Union Theological Seminary, is instructive for us today. Addressing a congregation located in an Eastern European immigrant neighborhood, a congregation disposed to sympathy with Zalgaz's anger about economic inequality, Ward began his sermon with an unequivocal denouncement of the assassination, which he believed struck at the very principles of social progress. He asked, "What is the world coming to?" and lamented the philosophy of violent anarchism. Yet he also maintained that it was the duty of the pulpit to create and maintain intelligent public opinion on questions of government. For Ward, this meant that the preacher could not just address the assassination, but must also speak to the underlying social conditions that bred it. He pressed the ways in which the current economic and cultural conditions fed an anarchism that many Americans tried to pin on the influx of immigrants rather than on their own state. He lifted up the experience of the average laborer in the United States, prompting his congregation to imagine the slum in which he lives. Ordinances broken in his house, his street, the saloon, laws used by certain persons any way they please, the police with no respect for the law, arrests and imprisonment without due process of law, lawlessness in lynchings, in tax dodgings, the privileges of corporations. Because despotism and oppression fueled anarchy, Ward concluded, to let the rich man run church and state is surely to breed the anarchist tribe and spirit. Ward's sermon towed a careful line, both condemning Zalgaz's action and the anarchist philosophy beneath it, and calling attention to the corrupt living conditions in America that led to it. The accent of Ward's sermon, however, was on neither the killer nor the one killed. Instead, he emphasized empathy for those who experience firsthand the oppression of unjust systems. Ward advocated in this sermon, as he did in many others, for the slow implementation of the kingdom of God in society in order to change the conditions that created a desperate situation in the first place. While Zalgaz was representative of the very class of laborers disadvantaged by the wealth disparity of the Gilded Age, Thompson's alleged killer stands apart. His wealthy family and Ivy League education make the historical comparison a little murkier. In this case, the public can't necessarily imagine a sympathetic biography that speaks to the economic nightmare foisted on many Americans by the healthcare industry. And yet the wound opened up by the assassination of Thompson continues to bleed. Today, if preachers are to offer a word after the killing of a healthcare industry executive, they must chart a precarious course between Scylla and Charybdis. A refusal to understand the catharsis that many Americans have expressed online is a refusal of empathy, indicative of being out of touch with the average citizen. At the same time, failing to distinguish between celebration and catharsis obfuscates the very spirit of social reform needed to name the injustices of the healthcare industry. It is generative to ask how we got to a point where United Healthcare's Facebook post about the killing of Thompson was met mostly with laughing emojis. What are the conditions that led to the widespread celebration of murder? Following Ward, we might begin to answer these questions by lifting up and empathizing with the experiences of average Americans under our healthcare system. High deductibles, routine denial of claims, lack of coverage for necessary medical procedures, inconsistency in quality of care, lengthy bureaucratic processes that delay medical treatment, and bankruptcy from outrageous medical debt. Not to mention the countless deaths for which the healthcare industry itself is responsible. It is the duty of the pulpit to speak to the unjust conditions of a social structure that can lead a populace to delight in murder. As in Ward's sermon, however, the accent should fall on the empathy for those most affected by the healthcare industry's failures, and on demanding an account for how we got here. The celebration of vigilantes does not occur in a vacuum. Let the preacher ask, what has bred this spirit? At this time in our service, we pause to honor and to give time and attention to those things most important to us. I know, but we had changed it.
Okay. I'm just following the teleprompter. And it didn't get changed on my copy.
Oh, actually, we do have the offertory. She was right.
I just followed that little screen.
I'm just moving on, but we do need money, okay?
Okay, Unitarian Universalism is a grand vision of a world filled with peace and justice, love and joy. That vision is embodied in congregations of all sizes. No matter its size, every congregation depends on each of its members. Each one of you, by your commitment, time, energy, and resources, helps make that grand vision real. It is our custom to share the undesignated cash offerings that are collected each week. We do this on a quarterly basis for a nonprofit or charitable organization. Our Share the Plate recipient for the fourth quarter is the Partnership Home, formerly the Tarrant County Homeless Coalition. If you prefer, donations can be made using the QR code that is on the back of the order of service. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. Will the ushers please come forward? I love that song. Please now rise as you are willing and able for our next hymn, hymn number 122, Sound Over All Waters.
Now, you would think I haven't been up here before, okay? At this time in our service, we pause to honor and to give time and attention to those things most important to us. We gather here for healing and peace in our hearts and to honor our time together with the shared stories and news from the congregation. Each week, there's a journal outside the entrance to the sanctuary where you can write a message of memory or hope before the service. We honor those messages by lighting 3 candles here next to our chalice. Also, at any time during our service, you're welcome to come forward and light a candle at the meditation center here at the side of the chancel. In our book of memory and hope this morning, we have been asked to remember Liz Harrison's dad, Michael Harrison, who has had a stroke and dementia diagnosis this month. Please keep him lifted up. Another one that was unwritten came from my family. My future daughter-in-law graduated Friday from UNT with a degree in psychology, and she graduated with honors while working full-time. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. So she's going right into her master's immediately. And I'm like, it's good that she's young and has that energy. Our meditation this morning is also by Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal mystery that holds us close, receive the meditations of our hearts this day. We come together in this quiet moment to unify our hearts again towards the clarion call of our time. May justice and equity guide us to a great connection, a greater truth. Our part is just as great. To approach dismantling systems of oppression within us in order for us to all be free. To know that when I cherish and tend to the divine spark within me, when I know in my bones that I am worthy of love and I'm whole just as I am, that there is a greater potential for mutual understanding and care. Love is not scarce. Our ability to extend compassion and grace can be. I place my hand over my heart and know I can feel the spirit of life within me. I invite you to place your hand over your heart and feel the spirit of life within you. The spirit of life is divine within us. The spirit of life is here. This is the beginning of justice and equity when we go within in order to be of service to our communities and our world. May it be so. We pause at this time to hold and to honor the sorrows and celebrations among us, including those deeply felt but left here unspoken. Let us pause for a moment of silent meditation and music. Misha. I've followed the comments personally on social media in the wake of Brian Thompson's murder. And yes, it is murder. If we call ourselves a people who believe that every life should matter and hold equal value, well, then his life mattered too. Was he part of a system that unjustly chose who mattered and who didn't? Yes, absolutely. There's no question about that. Did anyone have the right to take his life? I believe the answer there is no. When I asked AI why every life should matter, it responded this way. Every life should matter because each individual is unique, has inherent value, and contributes to the world in their own way, regardless of their circumstances, background, or perceived societal impact. Essentially, dismissing any life diminishes the richness and complexity of humanity as a whole, promoting the idea that some lives are less valuable than others, which is ethically problematic. Even AI understands that the whole devaluation of some lives brought us to this very moment in time. I hold space for the family of Brian Thompson. His children must learn a hard truth about their father and how their lifestyle was created and maintained on the backs and deaths of those with little power. Those whose lives and deaths only mattered as numbers on a financial board report and quarterly profit margin. I hold space for the family of Luigi Mangione and for Luigi himself. May he and his family come to understand that all along they have had the privilege and power to create change without taking a human life, an act which made Luigi no different than Brian. I also hold space for those who feel some way or another about justice and injustice, but stand on the sidelines offering commentaries that do nothing to shed light on how we got here and how we can move forward toward change. May they learn to focus that energy into power that moves their feet to actively educate others in nonviolent ways that achieve change. I keep coming back to my Christian upbringing and the idea of a future that will bring 1,000-year peace, a time when we want for nothing, a time when resources and love are equally available and generously shared, a time when the planet is healed and we commit ourselves without hesitation to the protection of all creation. That 1,000-year peace is what I've always thought of as heaven on earth. Our goal to create that right here. That is what we should be working hard for. But that time is the not yet, and we're still in the now. The now seems harsh, like, oh my gosh, very harsh. But changing systems is harsh, and changing these systems that go firmly against our belief of the true value of life is what we are working towards. Valuing each life means our words and actions show us as being present for others, whether that is a physical presence or a justice presence. We have to be willing to create a new world. I believe that's the whole point of this season and the Christmas story. Those who cared for that tiny infant mattered. The parents, the innkeeper, the little shepherd, the magi, and even the oppressive government. Each one had an important role in this child's life, a role that would be formative of the young person that child grew into. We are those people now, And we can choose which part to play as we move forward into the not yet. I believe every life is sacred and holy. And I'm also conflicted about this every time I'm confronted with a situation like Brian Thompson and Luigi Mangione. I'm conflicted every time I am confronted with the voices of the wealthy speaking against government assistance and universal health care. I'm conflicted every time the haves get to have more while the have-nots get to have less. The source of my inner conflict is the very belief that every life is sacred and holy, and that I have to uphold that belief even when one of the haves is murdered for their role in healthcare violence, because anything less would be rejoicing in something firmly against my beliefs. Dr. von Kuhn wrote, "It is the duty of the pulpit to speak to the unjust conditions of a social structure that can lead a populace to delight in murder. As in Ward's sermon, however, the accent should fall on empathy for those most affected by the healthcare industry's failures and on demanding an account for how we got here. The celebration of vigilantes does not occur in a vacuum. Let the preacher ask, what has bred this spirit?" I believe it is the duty of all of us to answer this question and seek ways to nonviolent change. Will you please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn, 323, Break Not the Circle.
As we come to the end of this service, may you depart from our time together, buoyed by the Spirit of life, delighted by the warmth of our gathering, and renewed in soul and mind. As we extinguish the chalice, the flame of our chalice, may its lingering spark be carried in your heart until we are together again.
Before I give the benediction, I want you all to know that probably starting in early February, when we get back into the swing of things after the holidays, I am going to start having a conversation here, hopefully on Wednesday evenings before the choir meets, and addressing this question that I brought today. How did we get here? All voices are welcome. Our benediction comes from Douglas Taylor and is adapted. The world is rife with discord and trouble. Injustice and suffering weigh us down and trip us up and stop our voices. May we learn to trust in love, in the holiness of our own voices, in the trembling faith of our forebears, to trust that we have a part in the now and the not yet. Our service has now ended, and we invite everyone to join us for coffee and conversation in the library behind the sanctuary.